We are live. I am honored. Lorri Lee Lown, what a pleasure. I've had such a good day. I got to talk with Coach Jason Alosio. Some of you all saw that I got to talk with Coach John Ferry, and now Lorri is going to help me out in the briefing. What a pleasure. Lorri, welcome. Thanks for
I am
joining me.
so excited to be here, Greg.
Yeah, this is awesome. And so we are doing the preseason Team Wilpers Cycling Challenge. This is the week one briefing, but we have a ton of stuff to go over. But first and foremost, I'll let you go first. Would you give us a quick intro? Who are you?
That's a great question. I think a lot of you know me as one of the Team Wilpers bike fitters. I've been working with Matt for the last 4 years since the pandemic, fitting individuals' stationary bikes inside their homes virtually. And what you probably don't know is that I'm also a USA Cycling Level 1 elite cycling coach. So I've been coaching since 2001. So I guess that makes this 23 years, and also fitting bikes for that period of time too. And the other thing that I do as well is teach skills. So I teach you how not to fall off your outdoor bikes, basically.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I could have used you
right?
several times throughout my racing career. I have the scars to
Exactly.
prove. Lorri, I needed you.
Yeah, so it's been a long time. I was certified by Hunter Allen in his very first power training certification in 2005 in Philadelphia, and am also an RRCA running coach. So long time background in coaching, even though, as I said, most of you know me in my bike fit role, but I'm really excited to step in and start working with you in a coaching capacity as well. So,
Well, you're in the right place. This group and this
yeah.
community, this team is amazing, and following along in the Facebook group has been tremendous. And I'll just try and follow that up with my own introduction. If you don't know who I am, Coach Greg Wagoner. I've been doing these challenges, training blocks for a better part of a year now, and I've been a private coach with Team Wilpers since the beginning. I actually had the pleasure of working with Matt as an athlete. He was on a team that I coached in New York City a long time ago, and my story is he liked what we were doing so much that he quit his job to become a coach. But I don't know if that's entirely true, but I'm taking credit. But I've been a personal trainer, strength and conditioning for 25 years in New York City, and now I live full time in Middlebury, Vermont. And this is what I do: coaching one-on-one. I coach small groups, and I coach this large team. And yeah, what a blast! Especially the last training block, the last challenge we had. I was so excited, Lorri, to take everybody through that. I worked just after getting to know the community and the team and putting that particular block together, and really this whole year putting it together. I was really excited to see how it turned out, and judging by the comments and the posts and the results that people have seen, I think it has really, really worked out well. And what a pleasure. This one is no different. So first of all, congrats to everyone who completed the last training
Woohoo.
block and had some good results. That is awesome. What fun. And then moving on into this one. So this preseason training block is going to be very similar, not the same rides per se, but the same flow, the same structure, given that we have three progressively harder weeks and then a pullback, and then three more progressively harder weeks and then another pullback. Now the first 3 weeks, the first month is mostly in the no class option. It's mostly below threshold, so it is sweet spot, it is tempo, and maybe a little bit into zone 4, but nothing above your FTP. And I was thinking that most of us would have some fresh dialed in zones and take it easy. So it could be that we are looking at some higher zones and therefore some higher output. And so I purposefully left the first 3 weeks under threshold, but then the next 3 weeks, so the second half of this block, will be more intense, and you will see zone 5, zone 6, plenty of, so working on the aerobic intensities in the second half. And kind of when we start these things, though, I really like to reset. And like when you start any project, you've got to have goals, right? And so you and I talked about goals, Lorri, before, and it
We
was
did.
I learned so much from you. And I usually just say, okay, what, when, why, and kind of leave it at that. And I think a lot of athletes do it, but it's really a practice that you can get better at. as time. And that's why I want to revisit it. And tell me about SMART goals.
Yes. Well, and I think it's important when we look at training blocks like this that we're not just checking off our to-do list. And a lot of times we think about that with these challenges. We're just going through and trying to get all the classes done. And that's not the importance of the challenge. So when I look at what my goals are, maybe I want to increase my fitness in some way, or I want to train for an event, or just to increase my duration on the bike. And maybe changing my FTP is a goal as well, right? As part of my increase. So SMART goals, something that is specific. I want to say, okay, I want to do this specific thing. I want it to be measurable. So maybe if I want to increase my FTP, I want to increase it by 2% in the next 8 weeks. And that's a very measurable goal. Is it attainable? If I said I want to increase my FTP by 200%, that's probably not attainable. So let's be realistic here. And R, S-M-A-R, what's R? That's a good question.
Relative, relatable. Really good.
Anything. I know. Didn't realize we were going to talk about SMART goals today.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's all right.
Relative, I think they have to make sense, right? They have to have relevance. Isn't that it? Or no?
No, I don't think it is. But that's okay.
Lorri,
I just
we're
completely lost my train of thought. I know. Am I blushing?
Well, T then is the time orientation. I think that's what a lot of us leave off is the time component. Yes?
Correct. Absolutely. And so I want to be SMA, attainable, relevant. Yes, you were right. And timely.
Yeah, relevant.
So I totally
have
forgot.
Some relevance,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. So if I want to say I'm doing the cycling challenge, but I'd like to improve my running time, that may not be relevant to what I'm doing in my cycling challenge.
Right.
Yeah. And then timely.
So do you have any, I know this is a practice and maybe I'm putting you on the spot again, but maybe, and I could go first. Do you have any specific goals coming up?
I do.
Tell me.
I do. And right now they're pretty big goals. So when I look at goals, I tend to look at things by the year. So kind of a macro cycle, but I decided, that I'm going to focus on gravel racing this year. And I have some really big events that I'm going to do. One of them just got canceled and I'm so sad. Granduro in California just got canceled for the year. And I'm like, ooh, could I go do Granduro Japan or Granduro Italy? But I have a bunch of California races on my calendar here. And then I'm going to go back to Idaho and race Rebecca's Private Idaho, the Queen Stage race.
Cool.
Which I haven't done. I was registered one year to do the full stage race and I was running that year instead, so I didn't go. But I've done her 1-day race and that's just a phenomenal event in Idaho.
And you've done gravel racing before? Yes.
Oh yeah. I've done gravel racing before. We called it gravel racing. So back when we rode road bikes on dirt, right? Adventure races. Yeah, there's a great series here in Northern California called the Grasshopper Adventure Series and Gap. And it really is the predecessor of all our gravel events, I think. It's been around forever. And
such a smart idea. I am a huge fan and a new convert. I mean, having just moved to Vermont a few years ago and bought a gravel bike. I live, I feel like, in gravel bike heaven, or at least one of them, and I haven't been on my road bike since. So it's been amazing. But one of the goals, one of the events I hear is there's a Hincapie event.
There is.
In a couple of weeks, yes?
Yeah, and we haven't had any weather to ride outside. No. It's been very strange here. All our dirt is very wet, and in California, we don't ride our trails when they're wet. They're not built for that because it doesn't rain here, but it did for the last month. So yes, I'm racing. Hincapie has an inaugural gravel event in March in Merced, which is kind of in the middle of the Central Valley. And one of your clients actually convinced me to go. Kevin. And so I decided to go rep Team Wilpers and have some other friends going as well, and have not been out on the gravel bike, have not been out on the road bike except a couple of times. I've been mostly riding the Peloton. So I'm hoping to get some outside time first. So.
Well, I am completely jealous. That sounds awesome. I would love to be able to do that. But then similarly, as I've been riding and training the past couple of weeks, I'm kind of getting fired up for another Hincapie event, the Lehigh Grand Fondo, which a number of the folks here in this community will be attending and riding and crushing because we're going to train smart for it. So anyway, that's just a event goal and having some consistency goals and some metrics goals and putting it all together, I really think it's a good idea to write down some goals for yourselves and put that in the Facebook posts. I started it with this thing, but I'll be checking in later in the Facebook post this week. And just I love it when the people get involved here and
Yeah.
the team, they start writing up their goals.
And I think it's important to look at the big picture. So my big goal for the year is gravel nationals. I
Sweet.
have raced nationals in most disciplines, and I haven't raced gravel. It's a new event as of last year. And I'm like, even though I'm at the end of my age range, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go race and throw my hat in and see if I can win a national championship. And then next year, I have a 0 in my age, my race age.
What?
And I'm going to go back to road racing, which I haven't road raced in about 10 years now. And I'm going to contest nationals in all 3 disciplines in road racing. So that's my biggest goal, which is a 2-year goal. And it's starting now. So, yeah.
It doesn't get old, does it?
No, I love to compete. And I
It
think,
doesn't get
there are
old.
definitely people who love that. And I figured this would be a good time to return to road racing for that goal. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I find it extremely motivating to have the goals and then not only the goals, but the training. And so that's kind of what we're here to
Mm-hmm.
talk about is the training
Yeah.
plan. So you and I are talking about racing and gravel and everything, but a big number of people that are watching and looking to us for guidance are just riding their Pelotons, not just are only riding their Pelotons and staying indoors. And that's awesome. That is an awesome place to train and you're in good hands and we do it very well. So we have a couple options this time around with the Peloton class schedule and the no class schedule. I've been affectionately calling it the no class schedule, where I give the timers and those are all my workouts. And you've done a Peloton class schedule where you've pulled classes and roughly follow the same structure all along. But can I get into the workouts specifically for Monday? Do you have anything to add on the different choices there?
On the Peloton side?
On the
So
Peloton, yeah, just if you're
yeah,
new or
well,
if you're new to the community, what and how do you
yeah,
choose?
exactly. So, uh, working on this challenge for the first time, I will say I followed the structure that's been done in the past. So it's going to seem very familiar to the people who've participated in the past. A few differences in coaching philosophy, but yes. So for the first week, what are we looking at? Basically, endurance. I want to set my rhythm for the upcoming challenge. So I want to get into the rhythm of what days I'm going to train, what times I'm going to train, creating a calendar. I have a conversation oftentimes with my athletes about how to fit it in. Are you a morning workout person? Are you an end of the day? Maybe I need to rebuild that discipline. So figuring that out. And I encourage you, instead of jumping in and starting your rides now, take a good look at your calendar for the next 8 weeks and slot it out. Figure out when you're going on vacation, when you have other commitments. Figure out when you can do your workouts. So work on that. Our first week, on Monday, you have the option of just easing in with an endurance ride. And you can always add longer endurance if you want. That's the one place where if you are training on your Peloton, but you want to do longer endurance events outside, this is a great way to add some more endurance. And then you also have the option, especially for those of you new to this, where you can test your FTP. So my functional threshold power, we have multiple different options on the Peloton platform. So we didn't assign those for you. You can pick your favorite instructor.
Oh, good.
And yeah, yeah. And then why do I want to test? Well, I want accurate training zones. That's the most important thing. Maybe I also want to benchmark. Maybe I want to see where I am right now when I begin. And maybe I want to test at the end and see where I finish. But most importantly, I would say I want to set accurate training zones because otherwise you're not going to get the best benefit from the training.
I love everything you just said, especially all of the maybes, because there is no one prescription you can give for every person,
Right.
and maybe people don't realize that what we're giving is a set of guidelines. And so, yes, we've picked classes, and if you can follow it, great. But
Mm-hmm.
or we've picked a schedule, and if you can follow it, great. But if you need to move days, you can do it. Or if you need to miss a workout here and there for that, it's okay. Life does happen and we
Yeah.
understand it. So let me get to the specifics, because sometimes there's some things in there, and I'm going to go through the no class schedule first. And again, I think you have to choose one or the other. I'm not sure if you can flip back and forth, or maybe if
Correct.
you're all access, maybe you can. I am not aware of that. Some changes that I'm not up on, but For the most part, the no class schedule has 45-minute rides on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I adjust the time on the weekends to make it the overall intensity flow the way I intended it. So Monday is either an FTP test. Now, the FTP test that I give is different from a class in that it is an hour-long test, and it does include some 1-minute intervals and then a solid 5-minute zone 5 interval to blow some steam off the top so you're not working anaerobically in the test, and we get a good solid number. I'm getting the thumbs up from my partner there. That is the
Yes.
awesome way to do the test. If you haven't done it, try it. One thing I'll add is I did look on the portal. The timer is not there for that FTP test, so I do owe you guys a timer. I'm going to post it on Facebook and see if we can get it posted in there. But what is in the portal is the other option. If you don't need to test, you've done it recently, your zones are dialed, then go for a straight up tempo ride. I chose 80% and 70% as kind of the up and down, but roughly it averages out to a high zone 2 or a low zone 3 endurance ride. That's for Monday. Wednesday, I have 3 8-minute tempo or zone 3 rides, and I chose 85%. Again, with the timers, I choose exact percentages. And remember, you are in a zone, though. You can go up and down, but if you follow them, I do have a method to it. As you'll see, 85% might bump up towards 90% next week, and 95, 98% the week afterwards. And that's how I even though we could do a lot in zone 3 sweet spot and kind of blend the zones. So anyway, Wednesday is 3 8-minute zone 3 intervals with recoveries at 70%. Saturday, I have a 1-hour ride with 3 10-minute 80% intervals. So that is solid zone 3, but 3 times at 10 minutes each. Thursdays and Sundays are going to be easy throughout this program because I use those as fillers. Now, we could take a lot of different people at a lot of different levels and use them as short fillers or use them as long fillers and really make a program dynamic. Now, I leave them for the most part at 45 minutes to an hour. So sometimes the Sundays do go to an hour, but for the first week, it's Thursday and Sunday, 45 minutes, 80, 70 rides. So 80%, 70%, 80%, 70%. I love that intensity. That just works the endurance, doesn't leave too much to recover from, and you can come back swinging the next day. On the Peloton side, I'll just run through. I don't have the exact classes, but Monday is a 30-minute PZE. Wednesday is a 30-minute PZE. Thursday and Sunday are 45-minute PZEs. Now, Saturday is a 1-hour PZE. And as I was looking at this, I was thinking that a lot of different people could use this schedule in a different ways. Now, if 30 minutes don't make sense, use those as the filler rides. Do the 45-minute PZEs. Use those as your key rides. If you're just getting started, this is your first challenge, and 30 minutes is what you're used to, use those as the key rides and maybe take it easy on the 45-minute rides. Go a little light on the intensity. So there's a lot of options, and you'll learn as you go along. Listen to the instructors. You're in good hands. That's the simplest thing. Listen to them. I didn't mention TSS yet. If you don't know TSS, you wanna take a stab at TSS real quick? I didn't prep you for this or anything. Lorri,
me?
You want to do it? Yeah.
Sure. Well, it's a way to evaluate the amount of workload that we do for any given workout. And it's a combination and it's based on your personal training zone. So again, having an accurate zone is really important. If I'm training with an FTP that is inaccurate, it's going to give me an inaccurate TSS as well. So it's going to take, TSS takes my duration and my intensity throughout the course of the ride and gives it basically a score, which tells me what my workload is for that. And so when we look at TSS and building a training plan, we're going to progress as we build and then back off as we recover.
Perfect.
How's that, Perot?
Perfect. Well said. You're awesome. Roughly, if you were to pedal or I or anybody were to pedal at threshold for 1 hour, you would get a TSS of 100. That gives you a rough idea or of what the numbers are. And so, yes, like you said, it's a way for us to quantify how intense the ride is. So the weekly TSS, if you add up all 5 rides for the no class schedule, gives you a 220 without the test if you're not testing, or if you take the 1 hour test and do the other 4 rides, you're at 262. and you'll see how the weeks progress. If you're at, if you let's see, what are the it's about 210.
To,
So I'm at 220 with my class, with my timers, and you're at about 210 if you do the Peloton classes with the warm-ups and the cool downs that are provided. So
mhm.
roughly very, very similar. And I did mention, so that's TSS for the first week. Keep in mind that that's just a way to quantify how intense each ride is, but then the weekly TSS, how intense. So that will go up each week for 3 weeks and then come back in the recovery week, and you'll see maybe you get to associate a number with how hard things are. I have a few quirks though, and maybe you can add to them. I think you already answered this, or maybe it's been answered in Facebook. Is that I think you can switch back and forth between the timers and the classes, but maybe that's not true. Maybe you had to
I,
choose one or the other,
yeah, you do.
and so
So I don't
okay,
think you can go into I think you can drop out of one program and join the other one midway.
okay. So it's not so easy
So
to switch back and forth. If
yeah,
that
I don't think
is,
so.
post up, hopefully that's a good way to do it. That keeps people engaged and focused, and that's a good way to do it. All access. So if you're in all access, what is that for? You can get a strength plan. We have awesome strength coaches at Team Wilpers, and I believe Ava did the strength plan for this particular training program, and so the complementary strength is there if you're at all access. And I think you can the toggle between easier and difficult. So if you're doing the timers, there's just one plan. There's no easier, there's no difficult. It's just one plan. I will tell you how you can do it, but there's no separate timer for something easier. And on the Peloton side, I believe you picked some replacement classes for an easier schedule. So if the PZ max rides that you choose later on in the program are a little too much for somebody
Hmm.
at that day, there are a number of reasons you could do that. We could talk about that along the way, but you can
Yeah.
toggle back and forth between easier and moderate or more difficult. And that's another all access benefit. There are some bridge programs that you have access to. There's a
Oh
number
yeah.
of things. We're trying to load up the options and offerings for all access. So that's a work in progress. Sound good? Where are we in the annual training plan, Lorri? I've had so much fun following like an annual plan. So this is it's simple. This is training block 2. Okay, I do have this master plan of what we're doing this whole year, and the first 8 weeks were training block 1. This is training block 2. Afterwards, we will enter into a 4-week program. I'd like to enter into a 4-week peak period where we do an overload, a recovery, and then a taper and a proper come to event day ready to go. So we've talked
Hmm.
about a few events. I think a number of other folks,
Yeah.
even if you're just working towards your FTP or towards a peak, really that should be a good time to really see some good performance, or maybe your best performance of this year. End of May, beginning of June is the
And
time.
I think that's important for all athletes, no matter what your goal is. Even if your goal is general fitness, it's very hard to just continue forever to improve and improve and improve. Your body won't do it, your mind won't do it. So having a season with multiple peaks, I think, is great. One of them being May, June, maybe one of them being later August, September, October, that time frame. Maybe Hincapie, Greenville would be another
Yeah.
peak, right?
That
So
is
super important
absolutely
there.
true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe that's different from what you've heard in other programs where you can do a plan and then test, do a plan and then
Hmm.
test, and it's just not sustainable over time.
Right.
Maybe it works for a year or so, but then eventually you burn out. So we do need to bring the intensity down sometimes and plan two key peak periods in a
Sure.
year, and that's what we're doing.
I think
Uh,
that's also great for folks who participate in additional sports like running. So if I'm focused on cycling, I'm going to let my critical power for running go down, and I'm going to focus on my cycling. Or if I'm focused on running, I let my FTP go down and I focus on running. And it allows me to take a little break from one sport or another, because overuse and burnout are a real thing. And a lot of folks in the Peloton community are participating in both running and cycling programs. So
Amazing. Amazing. The tech stuff. So we are a work in progress, everybody. We are master coaches but not quite of the tech world yet. So no matter what level, beginners to veterans, get your workouts from the portal. Or through your email. There is a box in there for you to check afterwards. Go in there and get it done. Check the box because we use that. It's an accountability tool for you, the athlete. That's kind of cool. Get the green check in there. But
Process.
we get we know who have done the workouts, and we know that's how we kind of account for who is doing the program. Gives us information. But yes, also consistency. There is a consistency drawing. If you've checked all your boxes that you planned on getting every week, we do draw a couple names and you get some Team Wilper swag. So that's kind of cool. Consistency is the key anyway. If you were to start with a goal, usually they start with consistency. And that goes to the Facebook group is where you are right now. That's where all the communication happens. That's where the team happens. You guys poke around in there. There's a welcome letter after you sign up. You can ask any questions. Please be supportive. Everybody is. It's all been super positive, and that's been amazing. Thank you to all of the usual contributors who answer questions and who post. You guys keep this thing going. That's amazing. There is a daily post from my friend Chris Miller. Thank you, Chris, for keeping us organized. Post your graphs on her daily post. Do a screenshot either from M-Paceline or Training Peaks or whatever app you use to get your graph, and post it up, and you'll see all of the people validating your hard work. It's awesome. I actually use that sometimes when I do the hard rides. I can't wait to post it, and it's just as much fun as coaching, I think. I like to
Can I say one more thing? I was going to say one more thing about checking off your rides. I think it's really important feedback for us as we've just started developing these programs in the last year or so. Let's see what's working, what's not working. When we see that a lot of folks are completing a specific type of ride or avoiding a specific type of ride, that gives us that information. So we've been trying to look and say, how many people are actually testing in week 8? Are they doing it? I was surprised by that answer. I ran a poll on the group a couple of weeks ago, and most of you said, yes, I do test in week 8. That's great. Or maybe you were just all lying. But if not, that was a piece of information that we didn't think was going to occur that way. We thought that people were just doing the rides. And I was like, well, we could do something different and special in week 8 instead, which we may. So,
right.
So please check off the rides. That gives us information and feedback as well.
Appreciate it. That would be awesome. Thank you. I like to start weekly discussions in the Facebook group and then use that content in the briefing. So I don't know any reason why we would discontinue that. I have some questions to ask along the way that pertain to what we're doing. We did an awesome nutrition piece last time with the help of Marjorie, and man, you guys make it happen. So everybody out there in the group, in the team, post up if you have something to share, and be great to each other, supportive, and let's go. This is it. I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Woohoo.
Woo. Lorri, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
Everybody else, this is it. Let's get rolling. I will talk to you all soon. Okay.